Hey y'all, and welcome to Politibrawl. My name is Brian, and Mike Johnson, for the first time in a while, hits a home run on Meet the Press, absolutely smoking liberal journalist Kristen Welker. This is fantastic. Before we dive in, I want to give a quick shout out to our great sponsors over at Colonial Metals Group. They quite literally have the cure to Bidenflation and Harris economics, but more on that later. Now, let's dive in.
Kamala Harris's numbers are dropping in the polls, and she just said in her own words, you saw the tape there, there is no difference between her and Joe Biden. The Biden policies, Bidenomics, all the things they champion are destroying the country, and everybody knows that, and that's why Donald Trump is elected. Republicans are going to win the Senate and the House.
Mr. Speaker, we should note that FEMA funds were actually redirected on Donald Trump's watch to deal with the migrant issue. Let me ask you, you mentioned the medical records.
No, ma'am. No, wait a minute. No, that's hold on, wait a minute. Wait, facts are important. That is a new program that started in 2020 under Joe Biden. That funding wasn't necessary under Trump's administration because we secured the border. We didn't invite illegal aliens and dangerous people into the country. That's a Biden-Harris policy, and everybody knows it.
Mr. Speaker, it did happen under Donald Trump's watch, but let me just ask you about medical records since you raised them.
No, Kristen,
should Donald Trump release all of his medical records?
New account.
Should Donald Trump release all of his medical records,
He has.
Speaker?
He issued the records of his physicians. Kamala Harris issued her medical records as a diversion because she's desperate because she's sinking in the polls. Donald Trump's health is on display. Everyone in America can see it. The man works nonstop. He never quits. He probably sleeps 4 hours a night. He doesn't require as much sleep as the average person. He's an unusual figure. And this is the strength that we need in a time like this. We're in the most dangerous moment since World War II. You have to have strength. You have to have a steady hand. You have to have a commander-in-chief that our allies respect and our enemies fear. They do not fear Kamala Harris. They do fear Donald Trump.
Mr. Speaker,
that's what people are going to vote on.
Just to be very clear, he hasn't released all of his medical records. He released 2 letters. Should he release the results of the cognitive test?
It's unnecessary. He's on display every minute.
So it's unnecessary. You concede that he didn't release his medical records. You don't want to know things like his cholesterol level, whether he's dealing with any issue that we may not know about, if he's going to be commander-in-chief. And he also said he would release cognitive tests.
Listen to your question.
Should he release that?
The American people, Kristen, the American people don't care about the cholesterol level of Donald Trump. They care about the cost of living and the fact they cannot pay for groceries because Kamala Harris and Joe Biden's policies have put them in that situation. The medical records are irrelevant. Let's talk about things that the American people care about. That's why Donald Trump is surging in the polls, because he's doing that on stages, in interviews, nonstop around the clock, and Kamala Harris has done nothing. Every time she talks, her numbers go down because she is uniquely unqualified to be the commander-in-chief at one of the most dangerous times in the history of the country. That's a fact.
Oh, man. There's actually a ton to unpack here, but Mike, for the first time in a while, congratulations. I know he takes a lot of heat, and he deserves some of it. I'd love to explain more in depth of some of his policies, but that's something I'd have to do on a completely different channel, because I would have to take an hour to talk about it. But I don't have to take an hour to talk about how many wins he posts here. First off, calling out Kamala Harris is always a smart idea. Reminding that the viewers on Meet the Press that, hey, Kamala Harris's poll numbers, they keep dropping, all right? And that's the truth. There's been reports recently from internals in her campaign that they're running scared. Now, granted, there's a lot of data out there and no one really knows what's going on, but when something sounds right, typically it usually is. It's sort of like English. When you say something wrong, it'll click in your mind and go, no, that wasn't right. So, of course, pointing out Kamala Harris's plummeting poll numbers, great strategy. Point for you. Hey, y'all, I'm not exactly looking at retirement anytime soon, but my parents are, and friends of my parents are, and I'm sure either you or someone you know is looking at retirement and wondering, what do I do? How do I help prepare for this in this economy with this terrible president and with a vice president who basically coup d'etat him and is now looking to run for president herself? How do you protect against this? Well, simple. You go over to my friends at Colonial Metals Group. They quite literally have something called the Retirement Package Plan. This plan backs your wealth with gold and silver accounts. And furthermore, you will have direct access to these accounts. So you're not at the whims of Wall Street. You're not at the whims of inflation. You are in command of your own destiny. As a bonus, qualified applicants can receive up to $10,000 in free silver, plus a couple of other little goodies that they're going to package up for you, and you're going to be able to protect your wealth and your retirement. So go over to this link in the description below at colonialmetalsgroup.com or call this number 800-203-0422 and see how they can help you prepare for retirement today by backing your account with gold and silver. Don't delay your retirement, folks. Protect the money that you earned with Colonial Metals Group. They're here to help. Then, talking about Donald Trump's cholesterol levels. Okay, first off, we're dealing with Meet the Press, which is part of NBC and one of the mainstream media outlets. And I remember loving shows like Meet the Press when I was a kid. Okay, can't honestly say loving, but my granddaddy would make me watch shows like this. Or was it the NewsHour with Jim Lear? You know what, for the sake of that, I need to go back in my memory bank and look that up, so I won't say that. But my granddaddy would at least make me watch an honest debate show before I could watch my movie whenever I would come over for a babysitter night. And so that was the deal. And so I have a great appreciation for shows like this, but when you have a mainstream media outlet that forgot to tell the American people for years that Joe Biden has essentially just kind of lost his mind. And once he got up on that debate stage with Donald Trump just a few months ago, the media could no longer hide that. And they went on this blitz almost saying that, oh, we didn't know Joe Biden was this bad. Look how bad Joe Biden is. We didn't know. Maybe we need to consider other alternatives. And it was this dirty, disgusting flip of the switch because they knew that they could pull the rug out from underneath his ankles and have no culpability for themselves. And so, for someone who is as swarmy as a reporter on NBC, who has hid that very information from the American people, that Joe Biden is just been mentally gone for years now, is now looking at Donald Trump and going, maybe his health isn't good. You know, we hid the truth from you last time, but let's look at the truth this time. I'm sure it's the right time. Maybe it's not really that different. Are you kidding me? These are the people that hid the truth from America the first time around. So no, you don't get to do that, MSNBC. The adults are talking right now. Okay, that adult right now is Mike Johnson. And instead of chiding her, as he should have, for hiding the truth about Joe Biden, you know what? I take that back. He could have done that. But there's actually a better way. And that's exactly what he did. He said that America doesn't care about the cholesterol levels of Donald Trump. Now, I want to be a little bit honest here. Trump worries me a little bit. He looks like he's lost a step. And it's not like in the NFL where your cornerback or your receiver just doesn't look as fast as they used to, and they can't deal with it and they just shut down forever. That doesn't quite happen in politics. That happens in the NFL. Because once that cornerback loses his edge, he's gone. Remember Julio Jones? Julio Jones lost a step when in his last year with the Falcons, got injured, and I think he's had like one touchdown since then. The dude needs to officially retire. I can say that as a Falcons fan. And I'm sporting the red and black, not for UGA, but for the Falcons. Ultimately, what we have here is a situation where a media could be honest. A media could care. And instead, they talk about the irrelevant things like Donald Trump's cholesterol levels. Yes, he could probably lay off a few of the Big Macs, but he also works about 20 hours a day. This is well known, well documented. His family will tell you that, his staffers, even the ones that don't like him, and the ones that want to trash him and be a part of the good old boys club again, even they'll admit, yeah, he could outwork all of us. I expect that's going to happen again this round. But what Mike Johnson is doing is not just carrying water. He's speaking truth to power. And yes, I get it. Mike Johnson could have stood up a little bit harder for certain conservative ideals. I would love that discussion in a completely different forum, but not here. Here, we're trying to explain what's really going on with the media. what's really going on, what the actual policies are, what the truth really is. And the last thing I'm going to talk about, and I'll make this brief because I talked about this in another video. There's been this weird media obsession ever since Hurricane Milton and Hurricane Helene destroyed multiple states, that Donald Trump in 2019 took funds from FEMA and reallocated them to the Department of Homeland Security. What he did was exactly that. But where did that money go in the DHS? Well, it went to make sure that migrants were showing up to their court dates. It went to strengthen migrant detention centers, and it went to make sure that there were more border security and basically more safeguards at our border. Compare that to 2024, where in a La Nina year, after one of the heaviest El Ninos we've seen in a while, we were expecting some major hurricanes. We've been lucky so far until the month of October, where we got back-to-back just slaps in Helene and Milton. And instead of waiting to reallocate funds, in early August, Joe Biden said, hey, Mayorkas, you know the guy they tried to impeach? Why don't you take the funds and just use them how you want to? Yeah, you can take them from FEMA. We don't need them this year. Well, it turns out now that we do need those funds. And it's because of bad leadership, poor decisions, and bad predictions. Granted, you can't always predict the weather. But in a La Nina system this heavy, compared to 2019, where it was a very weak El Nino and a very weak La Nina, you should be smart enough to say, let's hold on to FEMA money. Now, that's a mouthful to talk about. And so Mike Johnson is sticking to easier things because these videos don't last that long. These interviews are meant to be 5-6 minutes. So if you get into the weeds on something, you're going to lose the audience, or at least on mainstream outlets. On YouTube, different story. That's why I think y'all are awesome. And it's why Mike Johnson is doing his job and just destroys this reporter on Meet the Press. Folks, my name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on Politibrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. And until then, y'all have a good one.